My English Journey in 6 Months. Hello, my name is Daniel. I am 25 years old and I come from Mexico. 6 months ago, I could not speak English well at all. I knew some words from school, but when I tried to speak, the words got stuck in my mouth and I felt lost. I want to tell you my story of how I learned English in only 6 months, without paying for expensive classes, without traveling to another country, and without using boring grammar books that never helped me. Maybe you feel frustrated with your English now. Maybe you feel shy or afraid of speaking because you think other people will laugh. I know exactly how that feels, because I was in the same place. But I promise you, if you listen to my story step by step, you will understand that you can also become fluent. My story began with a big disappointment. For a long time, I had dreamed of working in an international company as a graphic designer. I loved art. I loved technology, and I worked very hard to improve my skills. One day, I finally got an email from a company in Canada. They wanted to interview me online. I was so excited. I imagined myself living abroad, working with a big team, and earning a good salary. I thought this was the moment my life would change. But then, the interview started. On the screen, I saw 3 people speaking English very fast. It felt like they were speaking another language I had never heard before. When they asked me the first question, I froze. My mind was full of ideas, but my mouth could not say the words. I tried to answer. I said, yes, I design many good projects, but I knew it was not enough. The silence felt heavy. The interview ended quickly, and I did not get the job. That day, I realized something important. English was not just a language, it was the key to my future. And right now, I did not have that key. I felt ashamed, angry at myself, and very sad. But I also made a decision. I told myself, Daniel, you will learn English, and you will do it fast. After that failure, I knew I needed a new way to learn. I had already tried online classes before, where teachers only gave me long lists of vocabulary and many grammar rules, but when I finished the lessons, I still could not speak. So I told myself, this time I will do something different. This time I will focus on real-life English. In the first 2 weeks, I did not try to learn hundreds of new words. Instead, I made a small list of 50 simple sentences that I needed in daily life. Sentences like, hi, how are you? Can you repeat that, please? I don't understand. I am learning English. Every morning, I read these 50 sentences out loud 10 times. At first, it felt strange and slow, but after some days, the sentences started to come out of my mouth without thinking. For the first time, I could say real sentences easily, and this gave me confidence. I also started talking to myself in English every day. For example, when I was cooking, I said, I am making rice, I am cutting vegetables, the food smells good. When I walked outside, I said, the sun is bright, the cars are moving fast, I feel happy today. At the beginning, I felt a little crazy, but I quickly realized this was my private classroom. Nobody was judging me, and little by little, my brain started to think in English. After 2 weeks, I was ready for the next step. I began using a method I called question and answer. I asked myself simple questions and answered them in English. For example, what did you eat for breakfast? At first, my answer was short. I ate bread. But then I forced myself to say more. I ate bread and eggs. I ate bread and eggs because I was very hungry. I ate bread and eggs because I was very hungry and I needed energy for my day. By repeating and adding more details, my sentences became longer and my brain became faster. Pronunciation was also a big problem for me because even when I knew the right words, I sounded very different from native speakers. So I practiced what I called the echo method. I listened to short clips from movies or podcasts, paused after every sentence, and repeated exactly the same way with the same speed, the same emotion, and the same rhythm. At first, it was difficult, but after repeating many times, my accent started to improve, and I sounded more natural. I also used a simple trick to learn new words. Every day, I chose 5 new words. and I made a small story with them. For example, if the words were excited, invitation, arrive, party, surprise, my story was, I was very excited because I received an invitation to a party. When I arrived, I got a big surprise because it was my birthday party. I read this story many times and even told it to myself while walking. This way, I learned words in context, not just from a list, and I remembered them much better. Slowly, something amazing started to happen. I stopped translating from Spanish to English in my head. The words came naturally. I could look at something and describe it directly in English. I could answer questions without thinking too much. For the first time in my life, English felt like a real part of me. After 2 months of daily practice, I noticed a big difference. My sentences were longer, my pronunciation was better, and I could understand more when people spoke to me. But I still had one big fear: talking to native English speakers. For a long time, I avoided speaking with foreigners because I was afraid they would not understand me. I thought they would laugh if I made mistakes. But one day, I told myself, Daniel, you cannot wait forever. You must be brave. So I prepared 10 simple topics in English. I practiced them again and again. For example, talking about my family, my hobbies, my favorite food, my daily routine, and my dreams. Every day I repeated my answers until I could say them naturally. Then I joined an online group where people from different countries practiced English together. At first, my hands were shaking and my heart was beating fast. But when I started speaking, I realized something surprising. Nobody laughed at me. Everyone was also learning, and they were happy to talk. I made friends from other countries, and we practiced almost every evening. Sometimes we spoke about school, sometimes about movies, sometimes about travel. With every conversation, I became more confident, and slowly, I started to enjoy speaking in English. By the 4th month, I had created strong habits. I spoke English for at least 2 hours every day. If I had no one to talk to, I spoke to myself while cooking, cleaning, or walking. I listened to podcasts, repeated sentences from movies, and wrote a small journal every night about my day. At first, my journal was very simple. I wrote things like, today I worked, I was tired, I ate rice, it was good. But then I started to copy the style of native speakers. I read blogs and articles, and I noticed how sentences were written. Then I tried to write in the same way. My writing improved, and my speaking also improved because I used the same structures when talking. One of the most powerful methods for me was shadowing. I put on headphones, listened to native speakers, and immediately repeated their sentences with the same rhythm and speed. At the beginning, it was difficult, but after a few weeks, my voice started to sound closer to theirs, and even native speakers told me that my English sounded much more natural. The real change came in the 5th month. One day, I was speaking to myself in the mirror, like I always did, but suddenly I realized I was not hesitating anymore. I was not translating in my head. The words were coming out naturally, almost automatically. For the first time in my life, I felt fluent. To test myself, I decided to join a big online meeting where people from many countries were discussing different topics. At first, I felt nervous, but I told myself, you work too hard to be afraid now. I spoke clearly, I explained my ideas, and I understood what others were saying without problems. People even asked me questions, and I answered with confidence. It was an incredible moment. Finally, after 6 months of practice, I applied again for a job interview. This time, I was not the same Daniel who had failed before. I was ready. When the interviewer asked me questions, I answered clearly and without fear. I was not just speaking English, I was expressing myself, showing my ideas, and feeling confident. A few days later, I received an email. Congratulations, you got the job. I could not believe it. My dream had finally come true. I called my parents and told them the news, and they were so proud of me. With my first salary, I bought a gift for each of them to thank them for always supporting me. In that moment, I understood that all the hard work, the mistakes, the long nights, and the moments of frustration were worth it. English had not only given me a job, it had given me confidence, opportunities, and a new future. Lessons I learned. 1. Mindset is everything. If you believe you can learn, you will find a way. If you keep saying, I am bad at English, you will never improve. Change your thoughts, and your results will change. 2. Surround yourself with English. Change your phone to English. Watch English movies. Listen to songs. Read signs and menus. And think in English every day. 3. Speak without fear. Mistakes are not a problem. They are lessons. Native speakers will not laugh at you. They will respect your effort. 4. Listen and shadow. Repeat sentences from native speakers with the same rhythm and emotion. This improves your accent and makes you sound natural. 5. Learn in context. Do not memorize long word lists. Instead, use new words in stories, phrases, and real conversations. 6. Be consistent. Practice a little every day. Even 10 minutes is better than nothing. What matters is not perfection, but consistency. Final message. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, speaking English with confidence, understanding movies without subtitles, talking to people from other countries, and maybe even getting your dream job. It is possible, but only if you start today. Do not wait. Do not make excuses. Start small, practice every day, and never give up. Because the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. Choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose success. Your English journey starts now. So, my friend, if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new today, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson. And please, write in the comments, I'm ready to learn English through listening. Your comment shows that you're part of our learning community. And trust me, I read every single one. Let's grow together and make English part of our everyday life.